How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today's video we have two utterly amazing gameplays in the Excalibur. I was, of course, going for the 4th mark, which is 100% on the Excalibur, and these two gameplays are pretty much just before I reached 100%. I have managed to do it now, and unfortunately I kind of got scammed by Wargaming. Well, not actually scammed, but I basically thought that the 4th mark of excellence was actually in the game already. It isn't. Spoiler alert. It's basically not in the game currently. I thought it was. I thought that we were going to be able to actually pick up that golden marks, which are essentially what the 4th mark are. Instead of having the traditional white 3 marks that we have currently on the tank that you'll see throughout this replay, I thought that we'd be able to get those golden coloured marks. Now, it wasn't the case, and unfortunately we'll just have to wait until the end of September, I believe, sometime maybe early October. I can't remember when Wargaming essentially said that they'd be looking at putting them into the game. I thought that they came with the Marks of Excellence change that happened recently, whereby pretty much everyone ended up with 5% less on all of their Marks of Excellence, regardless of how well you actually play within the tank. Essentially, everywhere just went down by 5%. Now, as far as the Marks of Excellence, do we know that they are going to be able to get it? Well, according to What Stars, the 3rd Mark of Excellence on the Excalibur was requiring approximately 1700 damage combined, which is fairly easy, to be honest. I got my 3rd mark very, very quickly on, but between the 3rd and the 4th mark, which is 95 to 100% on your Marks of Excellence, I was having to average, I'm not even joking, 2200 damage in a tier 6. Now, that's quite a considerable amount, of course, considering, you only do 150 damage per shot in the Excalibur, and making sure that you do that every single game was tedious, to say the least. It was really, really frustrating, especially when you get in those games where you're playing up against those tier 8 tanks, and you can basically get 2-shot by them every single time. Now, as far as this game, well, this game was absolutely fantastic. This game genuinely surprised me so much. I was able to pull out so much damage so quick, but whether or not it ended up in a heartbreak, I guess you'll have to wait and see. But as you see, what we do in the Excalibur is make sure we're aiming for the tracks and the damaging shot at the same time, because when you're trying to go for those Marks of Excellence, if any of you have watched the Get 3 Marks of Excellence Fast or Model Tanks video, you'll know that if you get the combined damage, which is the damage and tracked or assistance damage via spotting, then you can get up there on those Marks of Excellence 10 times faster, because if you're just doing it by damage, it takes a hell of a lot of time, and the calculator for the Marks of Excellence takes into account that assistance damage, which is, of course, something that you want to be making sure that you get, and hence why on a lot of my tanks that I'm going for my Marks of Excellence, I will pick to have the spotting perks within my tank to be able to deal that damage and get the assistance at the same time. So a lot of the time I will run advanced optics as well as advanced camo to be able to basically get both of them at the same time. And therefore I'm going to move up on my Marks of Excellence quicker, and we're going to have a better game. As far as this game's going, well, we've picked up 2,200 damage, just under, and we've picked up 569 assistance damage. A little bit annoyed because I can't actually outspot whatever it is over there. I don't know quite where they are hiding at the back, but what we do have to do from this point, or from the middle of mines, which is, of course, the most important position on the map, is the centre of the map. Well, we just have to make sure that we're dealing out this damage just consistently. As you see, we're pumping out shots of 150 damage per shot in this thing, bringing our damage total higher and higher as we go through the game. Of course, in a tank like a tier 6, you cannot afford to take any shots, and when you're playing in a tank like the Excalibur, which has 750 hit points and absolutely 0 armor, then you want to make sure that you do avoid any hits and avoid any potential damage that you can possibly take. And we've picked up 2,800 damage here now, and we've got to be a little bit careful because, of course, when you're on 750 hit points and there's artillery around, you can lose them pretty quickly. Now the Cromwell over there, he's decided he's going to push up now, and what we're going to do is try and get some shots on him. Of course, you have to be sure to aim in the correct kind of places. I'm thinking after I've hit this shot, last one, I need to move because the artillery is going to be aiming at me, and we'll have to move behind this rock right here. So 3,270 damage just under already within this game. We've picked up 722 assistance damage, bringing our grand total of 4,000 combined damage, and these are the games which really do push you up on those marks of excellence, and I'm sure we'll have a look at what the percentage was at the moment of this game. I believe I'm number 1 on the Excalibur in terms of the entire global statistics, so I have probably the most extensive knowledge of the tank and how to play it. So yes, it may look like this tank is amazing within the game, but trust me, I've played 100 and something games in it and I know how it works. So don't go buying it thinking that this is an overpowered tier 6, because trust me, for the most part it really isn't an overpowered tier 6, and you'd be better off playing something like the T-34-85M. But because I like the spotting mechanics that you can use on World of Tanks, then it makes it so much nicer when I do decide to play a tank like this and be able to get that damage out as quickly as possible. And we do make a mistake in a second on this game, and I'm sure many of you will realise what I'm probably about to do, and that is basically trying to go on the offensive in a paper tank that has 0 armour. Now, I know that there's a heavy tank behind me, but I need to go and get rid of this BIS out of the game, and essentially the AMX-12T, which I was hoping that my teammate would have been able to take out, but he doesn't, and so I'm a little bit wary now. It's 2 versus 4 at the end of the game. We have a artillery who can basically take me out, and now it's time for me to go. I should have just fully gone for it, but unfortunately we didn't, and now I realise I have to fully on go for it, because if we don't, unfortunately the P-43 BIS manages to get a shot on us, and yeah, what about is to happen is the most horrible thing that can possibly happen, and that is having your game ruined by the artillery. I may have been able to actually clutch the game at the end, but yeah, I think we missed a few shots on the MX-12T, which would have helped if we actually hit him them 2 times that we managed to take a shot. Unfortunately, they didn't hit, and that means that he survives to the end to take out our tank, and I should have, in retrospect, gone after the P-43 BIS right there, just fully on aggressive, loaded the premium rounds, gone straight through the upper plate twice, wouldn't have had actually bounced, and then we could have turned around, dealt with the heavy tank behind us, and of course you can see we still picked up a mastery badge. We picked up 5 enemies destroyed, we're at 99.5% on our marks of excellence, and we managed to pick up 4,200 combined damage in a fantastic result in the Excalibur. Even if we did lose, we still came 3rd on damage, so, or 3rd in the game on XP. So there we go, that is the Excalibur. We'll move on to the next gameplay in the Excalibur to show you the 100% game at which we managed to pick out the full 100%. So there we go, let's move into that now. Right, so we're here on Sand River. This is a really good map, actually, for the Excalibur and trying to get the damage, because you have the ability to spot your opponents, like we talked about earlier, where you can get that spotting damage to boost up those marks of excellence, whereas something like maybe Himmelsdorf, of course, isn't the best, because you really have to rely on getting that base damage, because, let's be real, everyone can pretty much spot their opponent on Himmelsdorf, because it just is that small and they're all corridors, so there isn't really opportunity for you to get spotting damage like on a map like Sand River. So I think it's really important that in these games you don't go too aggressive, because when you're trying to consistently get damage, if you go into the positions that can yield amazing games, so you know, when you're looking at your 4 or 5 Ks in a tier 6, you really have to push yourself into a position that, and then get fortunate within the game, whereas when you're trying to go for your marks of excellence, you don't want to be risking it for the sake of getting those high damage games. You kind of want to make sure that you stay consistent and that you get your damage every single game, a minimum of the amount that you need. So for me, in terms of trying to get to 100%, the amount of damage that I realistically needed to do was about 2,300 in order to stay at the same level of marks of excellence in this thing. If I wanted to go up considerably, maybe 0.2, 0.3 of a percent, then I needed to actually use the kind of damage and spotting to get around about 3 or 3,500 combined damage, which of course is fairly hard in a tier 6. It's not an easy thing. You definitely can't do it consistently every game, because sometimes you just get in those tier 7 or tier 8 games where you just feel a little bit lackluster, where you can't really do too much. Now we've gone up to here because I did see that a lot of our team haven't really pushed over the left flank, and if I decide to go in the middle and we get caught out by heavy tanks, well, it's not going to be very nice for us, and we're just consistently dealing damage to this 87 there, trying to get as much damage as possible. Now, we've got 100 XP already. Now, that's kind of a statistic that I use generally to know how well I'm doing up in the top right hand corner. Unfortunately for me, it always covers my damage, which is really annoying, and I don't quite know how I'm going to have to deal with that to avoid it. I know if I change my safe bounds of the screen, it will change or alter, but it's really annoying that I can't see my damage every single time that I deal some damage, which is unfortunate. But what we're doing now is, yes, I could shoot at the T29, but the fact that I'm going to be dealing 150 damage is something that, you know, sometimes it's best not to actually fire, because you will actually spot the opponent for your team and then you can just stay there keeping them spotted. Whereas if you are kind of being a bit more aggressive, trying to put out damage yourself, a lot of the time you can actually end up losing the amount of damage that you're going to be dealing, or total combined, because you're not spotting them anymore, because you fired once and then, yeah, now you've got to hide behind something because you get spotted in return. Now what you see me doing there, yet again, a classic case of aiming for the tracks and the damaging hit at the same time on the VKP. Unfortunately, no one manages to hit the VKP after we hit him and track him. But, you know, as long as we're consistently doing that to pretty much every tank that we're going to be able to see, then you can realistically get a decent amount of damage. You'll see me, he's turned side or frontal on, so it's really hard to actually pen and track him, and so we just go for the damage itself. We're going to put one into the Tiger 1 if we can possibly manage to feather a shot, which we do. We fire blind and manage to pick him up. And yeah, this is the sort of game that is perfect. I was at 99.8% before this game, and we picked up, what, 1,700 damage, actual damage. We picked up 1,600 assistance, and now we have found the perfect position in a fast firing tank like the Excalibur, is right behind, firing at the back of AT7s and the back of T29s. So this is a perfect spot. We're going to definitely be able to push through that 99.8 to the 100% within this game, and I'm sure by the end of this game you'll see exactly what our result was. We managed to pick up 3,000 damage so far, 1,100 assistance, moving up to 1,150 assistance damage, grand total 4k, which definitely will make me go up by 0.2% at least within this game. There's still a little bit of damage or a little bit of assistance that I may be able to get in this game, but of course it is kind of coming to the end or the twilight of this game, and there's only one enemy tank left alive. It is the Excalibur, and he is on a minuscule amount of health. Can we get the final damaging hit? Yes, we can, and there we go, picking up the final damaging kill within this game. We managed to pick up 4,000 combined damage, which is very, very nice, and of course we picked up the victory within this, and yeah, a fantastic result. 3,354 damage, 3 kills, 2,064 assists, base XP, 1,159 assistance, and of course we get 100% on our marks of excellence, which is essentially 4 marks of excellence when they come out, whenever that may be, on a World of Tanks. Of course we take a screenshot there to prove that we did actually get 100% at one point. There we go, a fantastic result in the Excalibur, a fantastic tank itself, and of course we were number 1 as of the recording of this video. Whether or not that changes because some of you sweaty people have decided to play the Excalibur to try and win, I don't know. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to all of the channel members as well for joining the channel in the join button down below, and thank you very much. I hope you have a great rest of your day or weekend or week, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.